It's time for a death battle!
Rewritten.
Shigaraki
Doomslayer.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust.
Rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If Decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader. Quick-tempered, short-sighted. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front,
who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes' intercontinental ballistic cruise punch. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became more hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift.
All for One's quirk, All for One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All for One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body, and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks, like super fast healing, air blast, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control. Rifles, shotguns, flamethrowers, plasma guns, rocket launchers, chainsaws, and a frankly terrifying looking grappling hook.
The Unmaker is a celestial supergun, shooting beams of light that take down demons in one shot.
Only rivaled by the incredible feat of technology that is the BFG 9000.
Don't sugarcoat it, Wiz, that's the big fucking gun! A single plasma shot from this beauty can annihilate everything in front of Doomguy instantly. It's like a handheld mini atom bomb launcher. It's also the power source for the BFG 10,000, a massive weapons platform that blasted a hole through Mars. He even joined and trained with the Night Sentinels, an elite fighting force always coming up with new ways to kill demons. But my fave is the blazing sword called the Crucible.
The Crucible is powered by Argent energy, sort of like a fuel for hell. Completely charged, it can power all of Earth for up to 8 months. Granted, much of Earth had been decimated at that point, but it's future technology, so it probably evens out. By taking the average annual consumption of Earth and narrowing it down to 2/3, given the 8 months time, thereby multiplying it by 0.666, how fitting, we can conclude that the Crucible's full charge outputs over 53 quadrillion joules of energy, giving an output of approximately 157 trillion kilowatt hours.
But the Slayer just uses the Crucible to blow shit up. Even without it, he can fight specters, which are totally invisible to most people. He's strong enough to knock around these enormous steel blocks like nothing, and can even take down Titans with his bare hands. Titans that can be 1,000 feet tall.
The Slayer has plenty of upgrades, power-ups, and rune enhancements that make him seem superhuman. like speeding up his perception of time, turning partially invisible, or even becoming completely invulnerable for 30 seconds. But don't get it wrong, the Slayer is not invincible. While his rage makes him an unstoppable force of fury, it consumes him. He's less a precise weapon and more like setting loose a bull in a china shop.
Praetor suit may be an ancient relic, but it's also the most advanced set of armor in the universe and totally indestructible. He wishes he had a wrist knife as epic as the Doom Blade.
Back in his Doomguy days, he relied on mega armor that could half all damage. Now, his Praetor suit can withstand Argent Plasma, the same energy that powers the Crucible. He can even tank actual meteors.
Or he'll just dodge the meteors, because he's fast enough to outrun rockets from a rocket launcher.
He also has some help in the form of Vega, an AI he found overseeing mining operations on Mars. While Vega was not originally designed for combat scenarios, it is proficient in hacking and technical know-how. Vega can even create portals to alternate dimensions, including Hell itself. Time works differently in Hell. The Slayer may technically be human, but his rage evolved him, turning him into something more.
And then he was literally blessed with immortality. Yeah, he can still technically die, but he no longer ages. So he's been killing demons for dozens, no hundreds, no thousands of years. Faster too, considering he can react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki! The Crucible.
Remember, the Crucible holds power equivalent to 157 trillion kilowatt hours, which directly converts to 90 gigatons of TNT. Match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT.
Slayer has plenty of upgrades, power-ups, and rune enhancements that make him seem superhuman, like speeding up his perception of time, turning partially invisible, or even becoming completely invulnerable for 30 seconds. The Surge quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
Absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust.
Rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.